can you get a do-it-all music production setup within a $500 budget? I'm talking interface, mic, headphones, keyboard. I'm even going to talk about a couple of DAWs to get you started. If you're new here, my name is Caleb, and if you're into videos about music making and audio gear, I upload them every single Friday, so consider hitting that like button and subscribing so that you don't miss these videos as they come out. Not only am I keeping this within a $500 budget, but I think this is the exact setup I personally would buy if I was starting over as a producer. So right up top, most of my money would go toward an audio interface, and for this, I'd go with the Universal Audio Volt 2 at $200. Now, there are a lot of solid options in this price range, but the main contender would have to be the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which the first gen was actually my first audio interface many years ago. I was very close to going with the 2i2 again here, but it's $20 more than the Volt 2, which firstly, we can't afford in this budget. And secondly, the Volt 2 comes with a slew of Universal Audio plugins and other software that you'll likely use for a long time. I received the same UA Essentials bundle that comes with the Volt 2 when I bought this SD1 microphone, and on any one of my projects, you'll find several of these being used. The interface itself is bus powered via USB-C, has MIDI in and out, phantom power, a separate volume knob for your headphones. It really has a lot of bang for your buck, and Universal Audio are known for making great sounding stuff. I will make sure and put all of these links in the description. Those are affiliate links to Zounds, and if you happen to purchase anything at all after going through one of those links, it does help support this channel without you having to pay any extra money to do so. Now, you're going to want to have a decent way to monitor your music, and while it's great to have near-field speakers, we don't have the budget for that, so let's talk headphones. I also want to say that even if budget wasn't as much of a factor, you're still going to need headphones like forever. So this is what I have, the Shure SRH 440s. I bought these years ago before I had speakers. In fact, before I really even had a home studio, and I still use them all the time. These go for around $109 new, and I've tried many different headphones. I wouldn't recommend spending less money than this. These are pretty comfortable, have a pretty flat response, and I will probably never get rid of them. Now, let's get a MIDI controller. For this, I'd go with the Akai MPK Mini Mark III for $100. Funny enough, this was also my first MIDI controller several years ago, and it's great to have something that's light, feature-packed, and doesn't take up much space. Alternatively, if you want something with full-sized keys and more of them, but you don't need the drum pads and the knobs on the MPK Mini, you could grab something like the Nectar SE61, which is also $100, which I think has the perfect amount of keys for a compact keyboard, and I do prefer to play on full-size keys as opposed to the miniature keys on the Akai. But the reason I'm still ultimately choosing the Akai for this list is that if you buy something like the Nectar SE, you'll probably want to replace it before too long with something that has better feeling keys, which will of course cost you more money. However, I think it's also great to keep around a mini keyboard that lives on your desk or can be thrown into a backpack, and eventually with the MPK Mini, you may want to explore some of the additional features like custom mapping the knobs to control your DAW or whatever. Either way, I just think that having any type of MIDI keyboard at the beginning is going to be very helpful, especially if you're wanting to make melodies yourself. And I keep forgetting to tell people this, but I have a few different sample packs that are completely free if you want to use them as sort of building blocks for starting a track. There's an ambient electric guitar pack, a soulful upright piano, even some cinematic strings. And these are all royalty free as well, so if you like free stuff, I'll link it down in the description. Now, you're probably going to want a microphone. I would recommend it anyways, and for that I'm going to go with the Sennheiser E845 for $100. I never see this mic in videos like this, but it's a dynamic mic with a supercardioid pattern, which essentially means it's very focused on picking up what's right in front of the mic and very good at rejecting what is behind or on the sides of the mic. This mic is mainly marketed for live use, but it's very sturdy, it sounds great, and it requires less gain than some other dynamic mics. The big reason I'm going with this one is that you will probably never get rid of it, especially if you ever plan to do live gigs or even DJing events. You want something really sturdy. But none of this gear will do you any good if you don't have a DAW or DAW, which is the software in which you'll make all of the music. The DAW that I use every day is Apple's Logic Pro, and I would recommend that to anyone. But we don't have $200 on the budget for that, so instead let's take a look at the two DAWs that are included with the Universal Audio Vault 2 that we talked about earlier. The first one you might recognize is Ableton Live Lite, and it's a very limited version of Ableton, but I'm not much qualified to talk about Ableton because I haven't touched it, but there are some people that are into it. The other DAW is Universal Audio's own Luna software, which is a full-featured DAW that gives you pretty much everything you need to get going, especially since you have that UA Essentials bundle of plugins. I might also throw in here that if you're a Mac user and you plan on getting Logic Pro one day, I might recommend instead just downloading GarageBand, which is sort of like a free version of Logic. This will sort of ease that learning curve once you decide you're ready to spend that $200. I'm pretty hooked onto Logic, but Luna does seem like something that you can work with at the very beginning, and it'll grow with you as you begin to utilize the additional features. Okay, so if we add everything up, we should have $199 plus $109 plus $100 plus $100, and then plus whatever free DAW you end up wanting to get. And that puts us at $508, which isn't going to cut it for this budget. However, Zounds does have things like clearance or open box savings. So for this instance, as I'm recording this video, they have a like new open box listing for the Shure SRH 440s, which will save us $20, easily fixing that budget problem. Obviously, you can't always count on a certain item to have an open box listing, but if you're patient and you really do have a strict budget allocated for this, I get open box stuff all of the time because it's not like some random guy is saying, oh yeah, it's new condition. You know, trust me, bro. No, these are the actual stores themselves that are putting up these listings, so you can trust that they are going to be in like new condition. Another thing to consider here is that there are a couple of costs that I didn't mention in this video. One being a computer, which if you don't have a computer, I'd get one of those first. You could get the exact MacBook that I use, which came out a few years ago now. It's an M1 MacBook Air. You can actually get one of those renewed on Amazon within this budget right now. And then while you're saving up for the gear that I mentioned in this video, you can get to know a DAW like GarageBand and practice making music using loops just to get the hang of it, but that's a whole nother topic. The other costs I didn't include here is a couple of cables. Definitely an XLR cable for that Sennheiser mic, and possibly a 1/4-inch cable if you have any plans to record electric guitar or bass. Those can be pretty cheap, and you'll just want to find whichever one is the right length for your needs and within your budget, of course. Once again, I'll have links for all of this stuff down in the description. This was a pretty fun video to make, so if you want to see more stuff like this, or maybe even less stuff like this, let me know either way down in the comments. And as always, thanks for hanging out.